March was the month that the whole world shut down. We got 11 golds, 9 silvers and 9 bronze. Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. So I haven't posted in a while, and that's because I've had hardly anything to post because of all the corona stuff and there's all the lockdowns, and I just had nothing productive to post. So in today's video I have decided to do a 2020 recap of everything that I'd done in 2020 to do with karate and martial arts. And yeah, let's get on with the video. So for me, my karate and martial arts year doesn't really start until about February, and that is because in January you're just getting back after the new year, after Christmas, getting your flexibility and your fitness levels back to where they should be. So within February I decided to do a creative team kata with my friend Isabel. I have never done a team kata before, I'm usually alone. So doing a team kata was really fun to have somebody else alongside me. Isabel was 12 at the time, and she decided that she wanted to go up 2 age categories to match me, which was really good. And within creative team kata, you have to do half of it unsynced and half of it synced. So I could do a move before her and then she can catch up so it was unsynced. Also within February, we done a seminar with Sensei Dave Treadwell, and he came down to one of the local clubs and done a Japanese seminar. He'd done it on Gankaku, which was really good. I already knew that kata, but then having another person's point of view on that and seeing how he applies every move was a good eye-opener. And then also within that seminar, we done some kumite, which was the fighting, which was really fun because I don't really like fighting normally, but then doing it with him and doing it within that seminar, I kind of liked it better than what I normally do, which is really good. March was the month that the whole world shut down, and luckily for me I managed to do one in-person competition. That was my only in-person competition throughout the whole of 2020. In that competition I entered 5 categories. Those 5 were black belt open-handed kata, Japanese open-handed kata 18 and above females, creative open-handed kata, creative team kata, and then Japanese bladed weapons, which I do with my sword. And out of them 5 categories, I placed in 4. So in creative team kata, me and Isabel managed to get a 3rd place, which is really good considering we'd only been practicing for a few weeks. I got a 2nd in creative kata. I got a 2nd in Japanese bladed weapons, and then I got a 1st place in Japanese open-handed kata. So for that first competition, that was a really good start to the year. So I thought that my karate and my martial arts competition levels would go up, because normally at the start of the year you're a bit wobbly because you're just getting into it, and then by the end of the year you're at your highest. But then after that we'd had a few more weeks of training and then everything shut down. So from April onwards we were doing online Zoom karate lessons, which were only 30 to 40 minutes long, so you were just doing the bare minimum, and plus with space you can't really do katas and you can't do anything extravagant. So doing online lessons from April onwards. And also within April we got told that the European Games of 2020 were cancelled because of the coronavirus. So my competition year had fully been cancelled from then on. In May it was my birthday. I turned 19 years old. And also on my birthday, Chris Hemstock, who is the head leader of the National Martial Arts Committee for Great Britain, he decided to set up an online international martial arts competition. So for this, you have to film your routines you're entering in your categories, and you have to email them across to him, and then he sits up with a load of judges from all around the world, and they judge your routines and then mark you, and you get trophies and medals. So in that competition, I entered 5 categories because I couldn't enter team kata, but those 5 categories I entered were Japanese open-handed, Korean open-handed, Japanese bladed weapons, creative open-handed, and then also I done Chinese short weapons, which is my fam. So I entered 5 categories and I placed in every single one. So in Japanese open-handed, I got a 2nd place. Korean, I got first place, which was really good because I taught myself my Korean routine. So I had no expert help leading me the way with that one. And I just taught myself and I managed to get a first place. In creative, I got a second place. In fans, which is Chinese short weapons, I got a first place. And then with my Japanese bladed weapons with my sword, I got a first place. So for the first online competition, that was really good, considering I don't normally do well when I'm on my own, and I normally thrive off the motivation and the encouragement that I have around me at competitions, and I'm really good under pressure. And doing it on my own, just in a room, on a field, it was quite hard to get into the zone. In June, the lockdown eased a little bit. So we were able to go out into parks and meet people. So my club in my town, we decided to go to a local park and train in the park. So that is what I done in June. I was training back with my club, socially distancing in a park, doing karate. The lockdown rules eased even more in July. We were able to train back in studios, but socially distancing. So it was really nice to see everybody again, because seeing people you train with 2 to 3 times a week and then nothing for like 2 months is kind of difficult, and then going back into person training, it's a lot easier than it is on Zoom. So also within July, there was another international online martial arts competition. I entered in 6 categories. I entered in Japanese wooden weapons, Japanese bladed weapons, Japanese open-handed kata, Korean open-handed kata, Chinese short weapons, and then also creative open-handed kata. Out of all of these 6 categories, I placed in every single one. I got a 3rd place in Japanese open-handed kata. I got a 2nd place in Korean open-handed kata, a 2nd place in creative open-handed kata, and then 1st place in Chinese short weapons, a 1st place in Japanese bladed weapons, and also a 1st place in Japanese wooden weapons. I decided over lockdown to learn how to do the bow staff, and then I decided that I felt ready enough to enter myself into a competition. So that doing the Japanese wooden weapon, that was my first time doing that in front of people and getting judged on it. And I was lucky enough to come first. Also within that competition, I was the top athlete. I was the athlete that performed the best throughout the whole competition. And because of that, if you're in the top 10 top athletes, you get a free suit courtesy of the sponsor Quan. So after that competition, Sensei Chris Hemstock brought me around a suit and all my trophies. So that was that competition. That was my best competition of the year. In August, I was able to go back to my club into a building and start training. We had to resort to parks because where we used to train, we weren't able to go back. So my instructor was trying to find us somewhere temporary while he found his own place. So we were back in a building, training, social distancing. Also within August, I done another international online competition. I entered 6 categories and I placed in every single one. In that competition, I got 3 bronze, 2 silvers and 1 gold. I got bronze medals in Korean open-handed, Japanese open-handed and creative open-handed katas. I got a silver medal in Chinese short weapons, which is my fan, and then also in Japanese wooden weapons, which is my bow staff. I managed to get a gold medal in Japanese bladed weapons. In October, I had another international online martial arts competition. In this competition, I entered my usual 6 categories and I placed in every single one, but I got 4 bronze, 1 silver and 1 gold. I got my 4 bronze in Japanese open-handed kata, Korean open-handed kata, Japanese wooden weapons and creative open-handed kata. I got my silver in Chinese short weapon with my fan, and then luckily I got my gold medal in Japanese bladed weapons. So I didn't do as well, and I decided that I'd take it upon myself to do better for the next one, and I thought that I would train as hard as I could to improve, and luckily I did, because in the next competition I done much better. In November, Boris Johnson decided to put the UK into another national lockdown. This meant going back to doing classes on Zoom and training at your own place. Also within November, I done the last international online martial arts competition. Again, I entered in 6 categories and I placed in every single one. So in 6 categories, I got 1 third, 2 silvers and 3 first. So that was a really good competition. I managed to get a 3rd place in Japanese open-handed kata, a 2nd place in creative open-handed kata, and the 2nd place in Japanese bladed weapons. I got a 1st place in Korean open-handed kata, 1st place in Chinese fans, and also a 1st place in Japanese wooden weapons. So again, as I was in the top 10 of the athletes of the whole competition, I was able to get a suit courtesy of the sponsors Quan. So I got another suit to add to my collection. In December, I done my first ever Taekwondo grading. Throughout lockdown since March, I decided that I was going to start doing Taekwondo. So I started doing online classes with them, and in December I was lucky enough to be able to grade. I didn't just normally grade, I done a double grading. So I went from a green belt, skipped past green striped, and went straight to blue. For that grading, I hadn't done a coloured grade in 10 years. So going back to doing a coloured grading was kind of nerve-wracking, but I managed to do it and I double graded. At the end of all of the international online martial arts competitions, I got 11 golds, 9 silvers and 9 bronze. That is just the online competitions, that doesn't include my only in-person competition of this year. So getting 11 golds was really good considering of the whole pandemic we're living in, and getting the training that I did, which we kept going into lockdowns and not doing training as I normally would. That also brings me to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed listening and watching everything that I've done in this past year, and I hope that 2021 is a better year for everybody. Thank you for watching, see you in the next video.